Mentos, Choco, and Mint. This doesn't look like a Mento at all. Look at this thing. Look, does that look like a Mento? Not bad. Ooh, yeah, it's minty. You should get these, or maybe they're only available in Canada. Hi, America, finally we have something that you don't. Please don't take that offensively, by the way. Pretty good. Okay, hey, what's up, guys? It's your probably now maybe your favorite YouTuber here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who at Chase. The Chase is a 6-part story that was for some reason combined with the Space Museum. For reasons I don't know. It opens up where the Space Museum left off, with the daleks ready to capture them, taking off in their own time machine. Then we cut to the first time that we see the TARDIS flying in the vortex, and it looks terrible. They put it on a table, filmed it, and then did some wishy-washy things for the vortex, and then faded the TARDIS in a little bit, and just moved the camera along the table to make it look like the TARDIS was moving. Didn't work out. This is what it looked like. The Doctor is then working on what he borrowed from the Space Museum in the last story, the Time-Space Visualizer, which is a machine that allows, well, okay, this is something that makes me kind of interested because, like, when I'm videoing myself now, this video will hopefully exist forever. And, like, I could delete it off my camera right now. Like, if I put it onto my laptop and then I deleted it, I could still probably find it. Because I don't think that those go anywhere. On my camera, though, I think they are deleted. They're just thrown away. There's no way to bring them back. But there must be, because it must go somewhere. Perhaps when we came up with alien technology, like, thousands of years in the future, we will find out how to recover footage like this. Maybe this is being watched by someone a million years in the future. This is what humans used to look like. But the idea is that everything is being recorded. You don't need a video camera to record something. No matter what you do, no matter how private it is being recorded all around you from invisible things. They say air particles, but I think that even in a room with no oxygen, it's still being recorded somehow. You just need to find it. And the space-time visualizer can show those recordings that were never recorded. And Ian says one of my favorite lines of the story, this is a comedy story.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but you rattle off explanations that would have baffled Einstein, and you expect Barbara and I to know what you're talking about.
One thing that I don't understand, though. So they go outside, and then the Doctor and Barbara are lying in the sun, the Doctor starts singing. Barbara then hears the high-pitched noise coming from the space-time visualizer, so then she goes off to investigate. Surprise, it's the daleks. And then she calls the Doctor to come in and see it for himself. But okay, when I was younger, I map out houses. Like Arthur, like you know the show Arthur? I have a complete detailed map of his house in my memory because I just watched episode after episode, just taking every detail that I could find of images inside his house, because we never see a full run through of his house, but we see him in certain rooms and certain hallways that you can lead into those rooms, and then I could just map out the entirety of his house. I mapped out the entirety of the first Doctor's TARDIS as well. I put it on a piece of paper like 10 times. I have no idea where those copies are, probably somewhere in the basement, but I just did a quick sketch right here. This is roughly what it looks like. The Doctor came and got up. He was on the sand, like over here off the map. He got up. He came into the TARDIS. Then he went through here to where the food place is. This is where the bedrooms are. And then he came over here. In a matter of seconds, he's an old man. He was lying down on the beach. Even I, running as fast as I could have just barely gotten to that place in seconds. So, you know. Good on you, BBC. So anyway, The Chase appears to be a comedy, just like the Romans, which is probably why I enjoy it a lot. Episodes 1 and 2 Episodes 1 and 2 take place on the planet Aridus, I think. I don't know. And apparently there are aliens there that are just terrible actors. I'm sorry, I just have to say, like, when the Daleks threaten to exterminate them, they run off screen, and then they exterminate, but they're already lying flat on rocks. Like, so by that logic, they lied on a rock, in hopes that that would stop the Daleks from killing them. I believe this is the first time that we see the Daleks threaten to exterminate the TARDIS with failure. As the TARDIS, nothing happens to the TARDIS, revealing that the TARDIS is a very strong machine. I found it kind of weird how, you know, one by one the characters were figuring out that the Daleks exist. I found it kind of like from Ian's perspective, he didn't even know the Daleks existed until episodes 2. Well, like, he knew that they existed. He didn't know that they existed on that planet until episode 2 when they saw him guarding the TARDIS. And then he runs back to tell the others, who already know that the Daleks are there. They just didn't have a chance to tell him yet. And then he says, the TARDIS is right there, but there's a Dalek guarding it. And they, of course, act all, like, casual and stuff like that, because they already know the Daleks are there. And Ian just rolls with it, too. I would be like, why are you so casual? The Daleks are back. But anyway, we finally get to see Vicky to realize how dangerous the Daleks are after not believing that they're dangerous in the Space Museum, saying that they look quite friendly. Yeah, I always found it kind of weird. In the Romans, at the end of the Romans, Barbara and Ian have gone through this entire suffering of an adventure, and then the Doctor and Vicky come back from their nice little vacation, and they had no idea the kind of stuff that Barbara and Ian went through, and Barbara and Ian didn't even have a chance to tell them just how much they suffered. The Doctor and Vicky felt that they just relaxed and did nothing the entire time. And then in the Web Planet, Barbara does show Vicky her bracelet and say, Nero gave this to me in Rome, but Vicky just simply claims that she doesn't believe him, and then Barbara says that Ian will tell her the same thing when he comes back, and then it's just never mentioned again. I don't know. But, episode 3 is by far my favorite episode out of this 6-part story. Because, only in a story, in fact, I think this is the first one. Hang on, let me think. An Earthly Child, well, yeah, An Unearthly Child, they landed in 2 different spots. The Daleks was just 1 spot. The Edge of Destruction, they didn't land at all. Marco Polo, 1 spot. The Keys of Marinus, 1 spot, technically in the TARDIS. The Aztecs, 1 spot. The Sensorites, 1 spot.
The Reign of Terror, 1 spot. Planet of Giants. Planet of Giants, 1 spot. The Dark Age of Earth, 1 spot. The Rescue, 1 spot. The Romans, 1 spot. The Web Planet, 1 spot. The Crusade, 1 spot. The Space Museum, 1 spot.
So, yeah, this is the first time that we actually see the TARDIS take off and land multiple times in the same story. And episode 3 was officially the first episode when we see the TARDIS take off and land in different spots randomly, because episodes 1 and 2 all took place on Aridus. Sorry to all you Doctor Who nerds if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but it's spelled Aridus, so I'm saying Aridus. In episode 3, because I think this is what happened. Some of you Whovians correct me if I'm wrong. I think what happened is that after the Daleks' invasion of Earth, some of the Daleks survived that explosion that the Doctor caused. And they somehow built a time machine to chase after the Doctor. I think. Because I remember that they mentioned something about the Dalek invasion of Earth while they were looking in the time-space visualizer. But, so, like, throughout the Rescue, the Romans, the Web Planet, the Crusade, the Space Museum, the Daleks were actually following them, and they were not that far behind. And they just got closer and closer with each and every landing, because the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan, Vicky, they would land and then have an adventure and then take off. The Daleks would just land, see if they were there. If not, they would just take off again. So gradually the Daleks got closer and closer and closer and closer until finally in this story they finally start to overlap each other. And yeah, the first place that they land is in New York at the top of the Empire State Building. When they said that it was the tallest building in the world, I thought that meant that it was like the 1930s, but it is 1966. Apparently it was the tallest building back then too. And we see a guy who's played by the same actor who plays Steven later on. But his reaction to the Daleks and their space machine, TARDIS, whatever, it's just pure comedy right there. I remember when me, Grandma, and Grandpa were watching it, we were just kind of laughing our heads off there. They also land on the Mary Celeste, which is a very bizarre story. The Mary Celeste is actually a real ship, by the way. Apparently, like, 7 people were on it, including a woman and a baby, and then the ship was just found and everyone was gone, and like the furniture, the cutlery was all untouched and everything seemed undamaged on the ship, and the only thing weird was that one lifeboat was apparently missing, but like they had no idea what could have possibly caused them to leave the ship because they had plenty of food with them, they had plenty of water, there was no reason for them to leave and chance to find more food. So yeah, and then they were just never seen again. So apparently the Daleks got them. But anyway, then they land on the planet Mechanus, which is their last... No, then they land in the weird haunted house thing. That was very interesting. That's probably my favorite part out of the story. Episode 3 is my favorite episode, but that one spot in episode 4 with the haunted house is probably my favorite overall part, because it was never really fully explained what happened. The Doctor thought they landed in the human mind, and that meant that the Daleks couldn't attack them, but they did attack them. And it's later revealed that it was a haunted house, apparently. I think what happened is that it took place sometime in the future, because there were these, the monsters were like immune to the Daleks' weapons. They were like Superman compared to the Daleks. They were actually able to lift and throw and damage them and be undamaged by their weapons. So yeah, and I read somewhere that it took place in an alternate 1996. So by that logic, it would have been mentioned it took place in 1996. However, of course, in 1996 we didn't have those huge things, and we still don't. But then I realized like maybe it's an ultimate 1996 when they did, but it's never mentioned that's 1996. So I don't know. I think that just takes place sometime in the far, far future, and then they land on the planet Mechanus. The Doctor becoming a robot, well, not becoming a robot. It's the robot that you know what I'm talking about. That is pretty interesting. Is that like the first time that they did that, when like they'd make a robot or like turn a character evil for a bit and the other main characters wouldn't know what's going on? And then we had one of those classic scenes where the Doctor and the robot both come in and they both claim that they're the real Doctor and stuff like that, until the robot accidentally messes things up, calling Vicky Susan. And I'm assuming that happened because when the Daleks met them in the Daleks invasion of Earth, it was Susan, so they thought that Vicky was Susan. And then that's when they realized that the Doctor wouldn't make a mistake like that, and he must be the robot. And my favorite scene, so my favorite episode is episode 3. My favorite overall section of an episode is the haunted house in episode 4. But my favorite overall 1 to 2 minute scene is in episode 5, when the Doctor and his robot self were sword fighting with their canes. The Chase is definitely in my top 5 William Hartnell stories. I actually filmed a video about a year back when my voice was all high-pitched, of me saying my top 5 William Hartnell stories, and my plan is to upload it as soon as I'm finished reviewing all the William Hartnell stories, which I still have quite a long way to go. But yeah. Would I recommend The Chase? Definitely. Well, once you're done, then you're just like, oh, I don't want to go through that again, but it was so cool. Oh yeah, and I should mention the time-space visualizer. What happened to that thing? I found this fan fiction online called The 10 Doctors, with the first 10 Doctors colliding. I was actually reading through about half of it, but then I got bored, and then I took some sneak peeks at the end. The time-space visualizer is brought back, and the 10th Doctor claims that he got rid of it when he found out that the Daleks were tracking it. Not really sure why he would need to do that, seeing as the Daleks were already gone. Then again, they did think that the Daleks were gone in the Dalek invasion of Earth too. But anyway, Barbara and Ian leaving in this story was kind of unexpected. It's no, like, I guess Susan leaving was unexpected too, and almost every companion leaving was unexpected, especially back in the classic series, because there wasn't really things online to tell you that they were leaving. Maybe they said in a newspaper, I don't know. But a nice little montage with them and wherever they were, London, was pretty nice, and they find another police box and they think it's the Doctor's TARDIS for a second. And yeah, it's nice to know they got back, but I imagine what you would be feeling. Because remember, the Doctor is all just like, we have a 50-50 chance of getting back. I think that he was just saying that to convince Barbara and Ian not to go, because he didn't want to see them go. But like, if he actually did mean that, and then like the Doctor and Vicky like leave the TARDIS, and then it just takes off, and then we never see Barbara and Ian again. So like, we spend the rest of Doctor Who history wondering, like, did Barbara and Ian actually get back, or are they, like, wandering around in time just as lost as the Doctor and Vicky, or are they dead? So, did it blow up? And stuff like that, you know. But it was nice to have a happy ending for them. We never really... They do mention that when they get back to school, they'll have to come up with something for their absence, but we never find out what they say. And, yeah. So, yeah. And I mentioned a lot, so would I recommend The Chase? Definitely. It's an amazing story. It's underrated in my opinion, because barely anyone ever talks about it when they're talking about good William Hartnell stories. I think that The Chase is an amazing story. So if you didn't like the story, then tell me in the comments below what you didn't like about it, because I found this one really enjoyable. But, so thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like so that I know that you enjoyed it. And if you didn't like it, please give it a dislike so that I know that you didn't enjoy it. Leave a comment down below if you liked it. Tell me what you liked about it, because it always feels amazing to get some encouragement. And if you didn't like it, then tell me why you didn't like it. Otherwise, I won't be able to improve for next time. So help me improve if you're going to dislike the video, and subscribe so that I know when my next video comes out. Oh, I was going to talk about the cover of the DVD. Yeah, in The Rescue and the Romans, it was a collision of the two stories. There was stuff from The Rescue on the cover, there was stuff from the Romans. In the Space Museum and The Chase, it's just stuff from The Chase. There's nothing from the Space Museum on that cover. And in fact, in The Chase for Region 2, there was a picture of Barbara and Ian's faces over on the sides. But in this cover they just took them off. So apparently we have the Chase cover and then we collide it with the Space Museum. Result, exactly the same thing, except Barbara and Ian's heads are missing. I don't know. But yeah. So I'll see you next time when I review story number 17, The Time Meddler, the Season 2 finale. Thank you again so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time. Bye-bye. I need to go charge this camera.